Okay, so we have discussed our clay terms. We're gonna cover the tables with plastic. You are gonna write your name on top of a plate, and I'd like for you to do it on the outside edge so that once we put our butterfly on there, we can still see that, and then we're easily gonna be able to stack them. You're gonna get a container of slip, which has a little bit of clay in it and water and a sponge. That sponge doesn't come out of your bucket. You're gonna get a thing of tools. It's got a popsicle stick, skewers, and toothpicks, and we use toothpicks a lot when we do clay. And you're gonna get a lid to add some impressions later on. And I always, like before I use it, I try to get most of, especially if it's inside the holes, I get that clay out of there. And you can even use your toothpick and do that. So what we're gonna do first is we are going to start with the slab. So once you have your slab, carefully, you don't want to throw it down on your table. You just want to gently set it down, okay? So I just gently set it down like this. Then we're going to use this as a template. So our butterfly is going to be made out of basically one flat slab. So I'm going to put my template on top of my slab, and then I'm going to hold it down. And just like I would trace with a pencil, I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm actually going to poke all the way to the table. And I'm gonna carefully go around, and when you do this, it has a really smooth texture to it. And you're gonna literally follow, you can kind of see how I'm moving my fingers so that my cardboard doesn't come up. I obviously don't want that to move. You're literally following the shape of the template that I gave you. Okay. So now, once you've gotten all the way around, and you can take off the template, okay? We can move that to the side. And then you can see that I went all the way around it, and so I'm gonna remove this part, okay? And there I have the shape of my butterfly, which is super, super easy, okay? So now I'm not pushing down on it. I'm actually kind of going around the outside edges of it just to make sure it's nice and smooth. But I cut these in slabs for you when I gave it to you. So it's really already nice and smooth. So now you have a lot of extra. We're not gonna need all that extra, okay? So I'm just warning you now. We're gonna kind of make do with most of what we have. We are gonna use some of it, but just not all of it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna break off, if you want to, you can do this part. Let's start with this part, okay? So now I'm gonna actually add in the lines for my body of my butterfly. So you can see I'm just kind of dragging it. I'm not going all the way through, because if I go all the way through, I'm gonna cut it into pieces, and I don't wanna do that. So now that we have the body, I'm going to make two eyes. So there's two ways that you can do this. So one, you can pinch off two pieces of kind of equal size clay. So I've got that here. I'm gonna turn them into spheres. And I can kind of do this at the same time and roll them in my fingers. And then when you're done, they should be about the size of a pea, right? If one's too big, take a little bit out of it and put it in the other. So now I'm gonna add these eyes to my butterfly, and they're gonna be kind of big, right? So if you get to the point where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, that's way too big, what you could do is put one of those to the side, divide the one you have in half. I think this might be better, okay? So now it's gonna be a half of a pea. I think that'll be much more manageable. And then you're gonna look at it, okay? Now I have one that's a little bit bigger than the other, so pinch off a little bit, put it to the side. Okay, so now I've got two the same size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them down. I'm gonna gently press them and kind of make them a little bit flat. So they're like teeny tiny little pancakes. I'm gonna scratch where I want the eyes. I'm gonna scratch, so I'm just zigzagging the scratch. I'm gonna tap my fingers on the water, and then I'm going to gently press. And then I'm gonna do it on the other side. Obviously, you don't want the eyeball in the middle, so you have to kind of think about placement, how you're gonna place it on your butterfly. Okay, and then press. And then kind of press it on there. You don't want to press it and make it one piece. You just want to join those two together. So when we're doing air dry clay, we always want to make sure that we are scratch attaching, or the things will come off. Now I'm gonna add texture to his body, but first I'm gonna add a dot in the eye. I kind of put it in there and I wiggle it around just a little bit. I'm not pushing all the way to the table. I'm gonna add a cute little smile to mine. Obviously, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. You can make it look more realistic. I'm making mine cute. I'm gonna add some curved lines, so I'm staying inside his body. Now, if you pull up little pieces of clay, I always pull it off and then just hold it in my fingers. Okay. Then I'm gonna add some details around the butterfly. So I can use my lid for this part, or I can actually draw some things if I want to. So I'm going to do a circle. So I'm just putting it on there and making an impression. You'll see when I do that, I kind of wiggle it. I'm never gonna push through because that's gonna make a hole and we don't wanna do that, okay?